The final straw came when Lila woke to find muddy footprints leading from the basement to her bedroom door. She sealed the room with concrete and moved out. But sometimes, in quiet moments, she still hears the sobs.
My mom had just started trusting me enough to leave me home alone. So this had to be when I was 12.
You see that?
We live in a peaceful and ordinarily safe little town. Quiet streets, spacious yards, friendly neighbors,
Guess you got yourself some witchy
village
stuff
with a bunch of shops and restaurants.
Doesn't feel like a joke.
It really is not a place where you need to look over your shoulder at night if
Just
you're
the
walking
TVs
alone
again. I'll
or
check the
anything
wiring
like
tomorrow.
that.
Feels like
Just
someone's down
feels
here.
safe.
It's fine.
Which
Watch
is
the
part of the
movie.
reason my parents trusted me home alone at such a
The
young
lights!
age.
Hold on, I'm using my phone.
I still live with my parents today in the same house. The night in question was a weekend. My parents were leaving me home alone for the night. We were really little. My grandparents had locked my older sister and I. But since my sister wasn't home for whatever reason, since I was kind of old enough to be left alone at that age, my parents decided to just trust me by myself.
Carlos threw himself
My
at the door,
parents had us
rattling the
young,
knob,
so they've always been a bit more
metal.
active
It
in the
wouldn't
sense
move.
that they'd
Darkness
often
pulled
travel
behind him,
or go
pressing
out on the
in,
weekend
whispering in
with their
garbled
friends.
tongues. He screamed and
They
pounded
left me
until
some
his
money for
knuckles burned.
pizza
A
for
voice
dinner.
answered. Someone
The
outside.
ideal
Steel
night for a
clinked.
12 or
The chain.
13-year-old.
Management
House to
dismissed it as
myself,
mold or
video games all
hallucinations,
night,
but Carlos
and
dug
pizza for
online.
dinner.
Similar reports plagued the
I used to be
complex.
obsessed
Tenants
with
vanishing in
James
the
Bond
basement,
video
written off
games
as
when I was a
accidents.
kid.
The site was built
So I
over
was
a forgotten
playing some
cemetery
game
from the
called
1920s.
Nightfire
The
for like
bodies
my third
relocated in
playthrough
haste
on
during
my
construction.
PS2.
Was the crawling dark?
After I finished the game again, I decided to order the
Emily
pizza.
says she only wanted a place
There was
to
a
paint.
pizza
She
place
hadn't
right by
expected
our house
company,
called Gianni's.
especially not from the past.
It's been
Found
closed
under
for
a
years
loose
now,
stone,
but it was
a
one of
tin
my
box of
family's
letters,
go-to
each one
pizzerias.
stitched with longing. A
I
wife
ordered
writing
a
to her
regular
soldier
pie.
in 1944.
At the age of
begging
12, I could easily eat 3 slices by myself. My mom told me to wrap the leftover slices in tinfoil and put them in the fridge. I switched out discs for another video game in the meantime while I waited for the pizza. When the doorbell finally rang, I hurried downstairs with the $20 bill my parents
she
left
called the
me.
authorities.
My mom told me to
Forensics
tip
identified the bones
$4.
as a woman
The
murdered
pizza
in
place was like 3
1943,
blocks away,
hidden
so
beneath the
honestly,
floor by
it
her
wasn't a bad
abusive husband.
tip,
The
especially for
letters
the
were
time.
hers. Pleas for
The
help, but
delivery
never left
driver
the
was
house.
some
He
30-something-year-old
died overseas
looking
before
guy.
anyone heard her
He
cry.
After
looked
the
a little
graves were
rough.
disturbed, the hauntings
Like
grew
he had a
violent.
really
A
long
man
and
appeared,
gross beard.
his rage choking
He also
the air
wore
itself.
glasses
I called
and was wearing a
immediately.
black
She
trucker's
felt the
hat.
wife's spirit shielding me
I
from
gave
her
him the
husband's
20
wrath.
and asked
We
for the
laid them to
specific
rest,
change.
side by side at last. The
As
house
he handed
quieted,
me the box
but I
and
couldn't
counted the
stay.
change,
Peace
he looked up at me and then looked past me into the house and said, "You alone here?" I knew it
Emily
was an
says
odd,
she
creepy
only wanted a
question,
place to paint.
and my
She
parents
hadn't
taught me
expected
well
company,
about being wary of
especially not from the
strangers.
past. Found under a
I
loose
said
stone,
my parents
a
are
tin
on their
box
way
of
home.
letters, each
A
one
stupid
stitched
answer
with
in
longing.
retrospect.
A wife writing to her
I could
soldier
have
in
just said no,
1944, begging.
but I knew he was asking because first of all, there were no cars in the driveway, and the fact that a kid was
Black stone
accepting
under
the
there.
pizza at the door
Keep
instead of
clearing
an
it.
adult. After he handed me the change,
Symbols,
closed the door.
like a ring.
Guess you got yourself
I ate
some
in the
witchy
kitchen,
stuff.
Probably
Yeah,
had 3
doesn't
slices
feel like a joke.
and then wrapped up the rest of them and put them in the fridge. I went back
Emily
upstairs
says she
and
only
played my
wanted
other
a place
James
to
Bond
paint. She
PS2
hadn't expected
game, Agent
company,
Under Fire.
especially not from the past.
I like this
Found
one less
under a
than
loose
Nightfire,
stone, a
but it
tin
was still
box of
good.
letters, each one stitched with
Hours go
longing.
by
A wife
of me
writing
playing.
to her soldier in
It was probably
1944,
11
begging.
o'clock when the doorbell rang. Naturally, thinking it was my parents, I rushed downstairs to the door. I said through the door, "Mom, Dad?" But an unfamiliar voice on the other side said, "Hey, I need help." And they said they need to use the phone.
Tireless.
I said,
Adrenaline
"Who is
surged.
this?"
Carlos
He
threw
repeated
himself
that
at the
he just
door,
needs to
rattling
use
the
the
knob,
phone.
fists hammering metal.
I didn't want to
Wouldn't
peek
move.
through the
Darkness
window
pulled
because,
behind
quite
him,
honestly,
pressing
I
in,
was
whispering
scared.
in garbled tongues.
I
He
decided to
screamed
go
and pounded
upstairs
until
and
his
ignore
knuckles
it.
burned. A voice
I
answered.
knew from
Someone
common sense
outside.
alone that
Steel
opening that
clinked.
door
The
would be a
chain.
horrible,
Building
horrible
management
idea.
dismissed it as mold or
I was
hallucinations.
walking up
but
the
Carlos
stairs,
dug
which are
online.
directly in
Similar
front of the front
reports plagued
door,
the complex.
and the man
Tenants
outside
vanishing
banged
in
on the
basement,
door,
written
and I
off
heard
as
him say,
accidents. The site was built over a forgotten cemetery from the 1920s.
What
The
that
bodies
meant was that
relocated
he
in
saw
haste
me.
during construction.
He
Was the
watching
crawling
through the
dark?
glass at the top of the door. I turned around. I know it was dark on the front porch. I could still see the outline of the man's head. Though I couldn't see his eyes, it was obvious that he was staring back at me. I ran upstairs and ran to my parents' room. The only house phone
Carlos
that
in
was
Miami
upstairs
2020.
was
He lived in a
my
high-rise
parents'
with a
room.
basement laundry
So I
room.
went to the
Always
phone
dim,
immediately
always
and
dripping.
called
Late
my
nights were
mom's cell
routine.
phone
But during a
number.
storm, the elevator jammed.
I
He took the
didn't
stairs.
memorize
Down
my
in
dad's
B2, the
number at
fluorescence
that
flickered.
age.
And in the corner, something
My mom
moved.
picked
A
up
patch
the
of shadow
phone,
crawling,
likely under
swallowing
the
light. When it
influence of
surged, he ran.
glasses
The
of
darkness
wine.
chased him faster than
And I told her
footsteps.
that there's someone at the door
The final
asking to
straw
come in.
came when Lila woke to
This
find
comment
muddy
likely
footprints
sobered her up
leading from the
instantly,
basement to her
as I
bedroom
remember
door.
her tone
She
shifted
sealed the room with
dramatically,
concrete
and
and
she
moved
sounded
out.
much louder
But
and more
sometimes,
concerned.
in quiet moments, she
She
still
asked me a
hears
few
the sobs.
questions.
A lingering
Firstly, if I
spirit
had
seeking
answered the
justice.
man,
It
or
was
at
the
all
middle
made
of
him aware
lockdown,
that I was
and I was
home.
using the
I
quiet
told
to
the truth
finally
and said
deal with the
yes.
basement. Boxes from owners I'd never met were stacked like a cardboard city, the air thick with dust and that sweet old wood smell. I dragged a crate out of the way and felt the wallpaper catch under my nail. Behind it was a seat.
Ethan and his family sold the house at a loss after one final night when the basement door slammed shut on its own, trapping him inside with the breathing walls closing in. He escaped by breaking a small window, but not before feeling icy fingers brush his neck. To this day, he can't stand enclosed spaces. A ghostly echo of buried...
bedroom door locked. She said they were calling the police. My mom kept me on the line with her on her phone while they called the police using my dad's phone.
Did you hear that?
They had to leave the restaurant they were in to go outside to better be able to communicate. It was a summer night. The windows were all cracked open to let some air into the house. And through my parents' window, I heard the gate on one side of the house leading to the backyard opening. It opened in a very discreet, gentle-sounding way. I told this to my mom, and she kept telling me to just stay quiet, stay in their room,
Trapped when the
keep
shaft
the lights
caved.
off.
Rescuers said they heard them knocking, even breathing, for days. The house sits right over the main tunnel.
Would tell me
It's
to
just
stop
concrete
talking
between
and
us and
wait
where
for
they
the
died,
police.
or where something
She
else
would
came
continue
up.
talking into the phone, feeding me updates from the police and their ETA, reminding me also to not talk. I was starting to calm down just a bit. I heard the unmistakable sound of footsteps downstairs. Footsteps of someone inside the house, wandering around.
This tale comes from a man named Ethan, submitted from his new apartment in Seattle. He swears he'll never live in a house with a basement again. Back in 2019, Ethan and his wife bought a charming 1940s bungalow in a quiet neighborhood. It was their dream home, except for the basement. The realtor glossed over it.
It was the most horrific, unreal moment of my life. The only thing keeping me feeling relatively protected was the tiny little lock on my parents' bedroom door. I heard footsteps coming up the stairs. The stairs are by my sister and I's bedroom down the hall. My parents' bedroom is further down. The footsteps faded for a few moments, assuming as the intruder went into our bedroom, searching.
Did you hear that?
My mom told me the police would force their way in and to not move until they were inside. I heard the footsteps in the hallway coming down this way. So they got to the bedroom door, and they tried pressing down the
The room
door.
was barely bigger than a closet. Dirt floor, chains on the walls, stale, with a bite of metal. On the ground, drawings, old, faded, kids in trouble crying for help.
The person on the other side didn't speak a word. They tried the doorknob one more time.
Flat stone under there.
Footsteps walked
Keep
back down
clearing
the
it.
hallway, then down the stairs. They faded away deeper
Symbols,
into the
like a
house.
ring.
Guess you got yourself some
My
witchy
best
stuff.
not to burst out into tears.
Doesn't
the
feel like a
entire
joke.
time. I didn't even whisper anything into the phone because I was
Emily
too scared
says
to
she
make
only
the
wanted a
slightest
place to
sound.
paint. She hadn't expected
My mom finally
company,
told me the
especially
police
not
were
from the
there, but to
past.
still
Found
stay
under a
put.
loose stone, a tin box
was
of
expecting to
letters,
hear them
each one
kick down the
stitched with
door.
longing. A wife
Instead,
writing to her soldier in
I just rather
1944,
suddenly
begging.
heard
After the
multiple
graves
heavy
were
footsteps
disturbed, the
and a man
hauntings were
shouting my
violent.
name,
A man
identifying
appeared,
himself as a
his
police
rage choking
officer.
the air itself. I called
I
a
heard them
medium.
coming up the
She felt the
stairs.
wife's
My
spirit
mom
shielding
gave
me
me
from her
permission to
husband's
answer them
wrath.
and
We
unlock
laid
the
them to
door.
rest, side by side
There
at
were two
last.
officers
The house
upstairs when I
quieted,
opened the door,
but I couldn't
and
stay.
then two more
He's-
downstairs.
Welcome, wanderers of the dark.
They didn't have
If
to
you've
kick
ever
down
felt
the front
that
door
primal
because the
urge
back
to
door was
explore
left
the dense,
completely ajar.
whispering woods, only to sense
The back
eyes watching
sliding
from
window
the
was
shadows,
also slid
these stories will
completely
make you
open,
think twice
which was
about
the
stepping
obvious
off the
original
path.
entry point.
Tonight, we venture into
I had
10
to talk with
terrifying
the police
crew
and tell them
accounts
everything that
from people
happened,
who barely
including my
escaped the
suspicion of
horrors,
the pizza
lurking
guy,
in the forests.
with my parents
These
listening
are
in on
real
the phone.
submissions tales of the
They were en
unknown
route
that
home.
echo through the
By the
trees.
time they got back,
Settle in,
there were only
but
two
keep the
police
lights on.
officers still at the
Our
house.
journey begins with the Silent
With the
Stalker,
police report
submitted by
including a
Jake
note
from
of the
Oregon.
pizza guy.
This happened in
Said they'd do
2022
their
during a solo
investigation.
hike in the Cascade Mountains.
My parents brought
Jake
me
was
to
an
Gianni's
experienced
Pizzeria
trekker,
the next night
but this day
and
felt
asked me
off.
to
The
point the
birds
guy
went
out
silent,
if I
and
saw
the air
him.
grew heavy.
When I
As he
didn't
pushed
see him,
deeper,
they
he
asked
heard
the
Craig
manager
snapping
which
behind him,
employee matched
rhythmic,
the
like
description of the
footsteps
delivery
mirroring
guy
his
I
own.
described.
He stopped.
He said
So
that
did
would
they?
be Phil, who
Turning,
was
he saw
currently out
nothing but
doing a
swaying
delivery.
branches. Uneasy,
After
he quickened his
explaining
pace.
the whole scenario,
The snaps
he
followed.
said there's
closer
no way
now.
that would be Phil,
Glancing back,
and asked us
he
to
caught a
leave the
glimpse of tall,
premises.
emaciated figure,
Long
skin
story
pale
short,
as birch,
my parents
eyes
made
hollow.
a big scene in the
It
pizzeria,
mimicked his stance,
and they said they would
unblinking.
never give them our business
Jake ran,
again.
heart pounding, but the thing
went to
kept
the
pace,
car and waited in
silent
the
except
parking
for the
lot.
cracks underfoot.
We waited
He
for
burst
almost
onto a
an
road,
hour,
flagging down a
and when
car.
he never showed up.
Later, rangers
left.
mentioned similar sightings.
My parents
a forest
thought it was
mimic,
because the manager
luring
called
hikers
or
to their
texted
doom.
the employee,
Was it a
which caused
skinwalker
him not to show
or a
back up.
hunger-driven
But
hallucination?
who knows?
Jake hasn't hiked alone since.
My parents
That
contacted
chill
a few
in the
lawyers
air leads
who
us to our
ultimately
next
didn't
nightmare,
take the case
the
due to a
Whispering
lack
Grove,
of solid evidence,
from a viewer named
stating it
Elena
would be
in
a
the Black
waste of
Forest,
time, basically.
Germany, 2023.
Ultimately, we
Elena
never did
and
go
her
back to
friends
that
camped for a
pizzeria.
weekend
It
getaway.
wasn't for a long
Night
while
fell,
after that
and
that my
whispers
parents
started
felt
faint
safe
voices in the
leaving me
wind,
home alone
calling
again,
names.
simply because
They
of
laughed
this
it off as
incident.
imagination. But by
Ultimately,
midnight, the whispers
I do
grew
think it was
clearer.
the pizza
Join
guy,
us.
or at least
Stay
someone
forever.
associated
One
with
friend,
him.
Tom, wandered off to
Because
investigate.
who else would have known that I
Minutes
was home
later,
alone that
screams
night?
echoed. They found him clawing at the ground, babbling about faces in the bark. Trees around him bore carved visages, ancient and twisted. Research revealed the grove was a druid site, where sacrifices were made to woodland spirits.
My parents and I moved
Tom
from
Scar's matched claw
California
marks,
to a secluded
the curse of the
area
old
in North
gods.
Idaho.
Or group hysteria.
My parents had
The group
just
fled,
retired,
but
built
Elena
their
still
dream
hears
home
whispers
deep
on
in the
windy nights.
backcountry.
Deeper into the
We had
darkness
no
with
neighbors
the
in
lost
sight,
cabin,
just forest.
shared by Mike from Alaska,
Endless, dense
2024,
forest that
lost in a
backed
blizzard
right up to
during a
national
hunting trip.
parklands
Mike
and
stumbled
paper mill
upon an
logging
abandoned
grounds.
cabin. Inside,
The house was
warmth from a
massive.
dying fire
2
rod, as
stories,
no
a
tracks led
gym,
there.
a full
He
bar
found
and
journals
pool room,
detailing a
and a
family's
legit
descent
movie
into
theater
madness,
set up in the
visions
basement.
of tall ones,
It felt
circling,
like the kind of
demanding
house
tribute.
people dream of.
As night deepened,
Remote,
knocks rattled
quiet,
the door.
perfect.
Peering out, elongated
So it
shadows with
seemed.
antler-like protrusions
I was
loomed.
dating my high school
Mike barricaded,
girlfriend
but
at
the walls
time.
creaked, voices
One
pleading
night,
entry.
while my parents
Dawn
were out
broke.
on a date downtown,
The shadows vanished.
I invited her
Locals
over to
spoke
hang
of
out
Wendigos
and watch a
haunting
movie.
those woods.
We were
Starvation
completely
spirit
alone.
or survival delusion?
Cracked open a
Mike
beer.
escaped, but
I
the
was
hunger
underage,
lingers in his
but
dreams.
figured no one would care.
Our fourth tale
And we headed
uncovers
down to
the
the
glowing
movie room
eyes
to watch
from Sarah in the
Gladiator.
Appalachian Trail, 2021.
Everything started out normal, but somewhere around the
Hiking at
midpoint of
dusk,
the movie,
Sarah
maybe
spotted
close to
glowing
midnight,
eyes in the
something
underbrush
switched
distance.
in me.
Unblinking,
Out of nowhere,
following
I
her.
was overwhelmed.
She
with this
ran,
fight or
but they
flight
flanked
feeling.
her path, hurting
It was
her
like
deeper.
my body sensed
Tripping
something
into
my
a
brain
clearing,
couldn't see.
she saw figures.
My heart was pounding,
humanoid,
and I kept
furred,
glancing at the
with
uncovered
canine
windows
muzzles
behind
dogma,
us that looked
as
out into
locals
the
call
pitch
them.
black woods.
One approached,
I didn't want to
snarled,
freak out my
but a
girlfriend,
distant
so I kept it to
gunshot
myself.
scattered them.
In fact,
Rangers
things
later
got a little
confirmed
heated
prints
between us
too
during the
large
movie.
for wolves.
But the whole time,
Cryptid
I
pack
couldn't shake
or
the feeling
mutated
that
animals?
we were being watched.
Sarah's photos show
didn't know
only
from
blurs,
where,
but the
but I
eyes
knew.
haunt her.
After
Halfway
the
through
movie
Brace
ended,
for the
I walked
Vanishing
her upstairs and
Trail,
out to her
submitted
car.
by David from Yosemite,
The house was dead
2023. On
She
a
drove
family
off,
hike,
and I turned to
his
go
son
back inside.
vanished mid-trail.
When I remembered,
No
I left
cries,
the bar,
no
pool
signs.
room, and movie room
Search
lights
parties
on.
found nothing until
I went
David
back
heard
downstairs.
giggles from off-path.
I turned off the
Following,
lights in the movie room
he entered
first,
a mist-shrouded
then paused.
glade where
My
time
eyes
felt
drifted
warped.
to the large
His
window
watch
that looked
stopped.
into the backyard.
There,
And that's when
his
I
son
saw him.
played with invisible friends.
Man,
Grabbing him,
he looked
David
homeless.
fled as laughter
Wild
turned
hair,
menacing.
filthy clothes.
Missing
But
411
what froze me in
case.
place was his
Fairy lore
expression.
or disorientation.
He had the biggest,
The boy
creepiest
remembers
smile
night
I've ever
shadows,
seen,
inviting
with
him to
wide,
stay.
staring eyes that
Next,
looked
the
absolutely
terror of the
deranged.
bone altar. From a
And in
hiker
his
named
hand
Lisa
was a
in the
knife.
Rockies.
He was gently
2024.
tapping it on the glass,
She
over and
discovered
over.
a circle of bones
first, I
animal
thought I was
and
hallucinating.
human arranged in runes.
I slowly backed away
Touching
and
one,
went to the bar room to
whispers
shut off the
assaulted
rest
her.
of the lights.
Ancient chants.
That room has a
Shadows
sliding glass
elongated,
door that also faces
forming
the
horned
woods.
entities.
I flipped
She
the
ran,
switch and
pursued
watched in
by
horror
unseen
as the man
forces.
calmly walked from the window
Escaping,
to the door.
she learned of
still
native
smiling,
rituals binding
still
evil
staring.
spirits.
At this
Disturbed
point,
the seal?
we were less than a foot apart,
Demonic release
just the
or
glass
panic?
between us.
Lisa's nightmares
try to
replay
get
the
in.
chants.
He didn't move at all.
Venture further
He
with
just
the
watched
Night
me.
Caller. Alex from the
went upstairs
Amazon
without a
Rainforest
word.
2022
Right
expedition.
then, my parents were walking
Nights
through
brought
the door.
calls mimicking
I
human
told them,
screams.
I think I need to go to the
One
psych
night,
ward or
it
something.
copied his name.
I swear, I just saw
Venturing
a guy
out,
with a knife
a
watching me
shapeshifter.
outside.
Bird to
My
beast
mom
to
went
man
pale.
dotted
My
lunged.
dad's eyes narrowed.
He fired a
and
flare,
without a word,
scaring
He
it.
went to the gun safe.
Indigenous
grabbed his
guides
rifle,
called it
and
the
stormed out
Deceiver.
to check the property.
Jungle spirit or
I asked
unknown
my mom
species?
what was going on.
Alex
She
left
said,
scarred.
There've been a few break-ins
Eighth
in
story.
the area. A
The
guy
Forgotten
wandering
Village.
through the woods trying
From
to get
Tom
into
in
homes.
Scotland's
The
Highlands.
description you gave
2023.
matches exactly.
He found
The
ruins of a
police were
village
called,
erased
but
from
they
maps.
didn't find anything.
Inside
No
a
signs
hut,
of
rest
entry,
apparitions
no
doctors
reenacted
found
the
no
cause.
causes.
Old
Mass
black
hallucination.
touched by
one, the village's
Features struck
ghosts
the end of
seek
it,
remembrance.
But it wasn't.
Penultimate terror.
That night, as
the
I
Shadow
tried to
Pack.
sleep,
Rachel
I could hear
from
a light
Canada,
tapping sound beneath
2024.
me.
Camping.
My bedroom was
a
on
pack
the
of
second
shadow
floor,
wolves encircled
directly
her
above
tent
the movie
ethereal.
room.
Eyes
It
red.
sounded like metal
They
gently
howled,
tapping
inducing
glass.
paralysis.
I tried to
Dawn
convince myself
dispersed
it
them.
was nothing.
Lore.
The tapping
Spirit
lasted for
guardians or
hours.
hellhounds?
This happened
Her
night
photos
after
show
night
anomalies.
for weeks.
Never camp alone.
Sometimes it would stop.
Our final descent.
Sometimes I'd wake up at
the
3 a.m.
Eternal
and hear it
Watcher
faintly again.
from an anonymous
I even
sender in
thought I heard
Siberia.
footsteps on the roof one night.
2025.
I checked
Deep
the
in
windows,
taiga,
but I never never saw
colossal
anyone.
tree with a face watched him.
Still, I couldn't shake the
Branches
feeling that I was
whispered
being
secrets,
stalked,
drawing
watched.
him near. Resisting,
winter came.
he fired as roots
My parents had to
pursued.
go out of town for a few
Ancient
days,
tree
but they were
spirit?
still nervous about what had
Madness?
happened.
He warns.
Before they left,
The watcher
they gave me a
waits for the
shotgun
weary.
just in case.
These 10 true
We
forest
also had a big
horrors remind
Rottweiler,
us.
sweetest
The
dog
woods
you'd ever
hold
meet, and
secrets
totally
best
silent,
left buried.
unless something was
Share
really
your
there.
encounters below. Subscribe
One
for
night
more
while I was home
and
alone,
tread carefully.
I heard slow,
Until
crunching
next time,
footsteps in the snow
stay on the
outside,
path.
heavy and deliberate.
welcoming
dog stood
listeners
up,
to a
ears
world of
perked, and began
spine-tingling
growling
tales.
low and deep
The air
at the
was
front door.
thick with anticipation,
Then barking,
a heady mix of
ferocious,
fear and
loud,
curiosity
and non-stop.
that enveloped the room.
He only ever did that when he saw
Welcome,
something
brave
real.
souls, the narrator's
I stayed
voice
silent.
echoed,
I
sending
didn't want
shivers
whoever was
down
out there to know
spines.
I was home.
Each tale that followed would
move.
validate the deepest
Then came the
fears
knock.
buried within,
Slow,
especially for those
hollow,
who
and
hesitated
taunting.
before descending rickety
didn't answer.
stairs into the damp
I
darkness
slept with the
of the
shotgun next to me
basement.
that night.
These
Door
5
locked,
real
blinds
accounts
drawn,
uncovered
dog at my
horrors
feet.
lurking beneath the
The next
surface
morning,
were
I
more
went
than mere
outside and
stories.
saw something
They
that
were
made my
warnings
stomach
from
drop.
those who dared to explore the
Footprints.
unknown.
Fresh
The first
human
whisper came
footprints
from
circled the
Ethan,
entire house.
a man whose life was
They stopped at
forever
every
changed
single
by the
window,
very
like
walls
someone
that
was trying to
surrounded
look
him.
in, searching
In
for me.
2019, he and
I
his
followed
wife
the
fell
prints
for
around
a
the
charming
property, and they
1940s
eventually led
bungalow,
into the forest.
a dream home with
I
one
followed
dark
them maybe
secret,
half a mile
the
before they
basement.
started to zigzag,
The realtor's
veer off,
words glossed
loop back,
over its
like whoever made
unfinished
them was
state,
trying to throw me
but
off their
Ethan
trail.
felt a heavy unease,
I turned back.
as if the air
Something
down
told me it was a
there
bad
was
idea to keep
alive,
going.
pulsing with
That
a
night,
faint,
the tapping
rhythmic
came
breathing
back,
that echoed
louder
his
this
own.
time.
Initially,
I knew it was
they
him.
settled in, the
I
basement
unlocked my
converting
door,
into a
grabbed
home
my
gym.
shotgun, and
But
stepped
one
onto the
dreadful
second-story
evening,
deck.
while lifting weights,
I flipped on the
Ethan
fog
heard
lights
it.
that illuminated
A
the
soft
backyard.
inhale and exhale,
There he was.
almost synchronized
Same man,
with his own.
same smile,
He froze,
same
his
dead
heart
eyes.
racing,
He was
convinced
holding
it was
the
an
knife
echo,
again, staring
until he
directly
pressed his
at me
ear
like he could see
against the
through
cold
me.
brick.
I raised the
sound
shotgun and shouted, "If you don't
intensified,
leave, I'll put
wet
one right
and
through
labored,
you."
as if
He
someone
didn't
was
move or
struggling to
flinch,
breathe just
stared,
beyond the wall.
unblinking,
In a
grinning.
desperate attempt to
I
uncover
fired
the
a
truth,
warning shot into
he
the
knocked.
air. That finally
The
got a
response
reaction.
was immediate.
He staggered
3
a bit, then
deliberate
slowly
knocks,
backed into the
mocking
woods,
him
still
from
facing
the depths.
me.
That night,
That's when I
while they
decided to
tried to
unleash the
sleep,
dog.
scratching
I
noises
sprinted
echoed
downstairs,
from below,
threw open
like
the sliding door,
nails
and let him
dragging
loose.
across concrete.
He
They
bolted
attributed
into the
it
forest
to
like
rats,
a black missile,
but the next
barking and
morning,
snarling.
Ethan
I've
discovered
never seen him that
fainter
aggressive.
claw marks on the
He had a
basement
shock collar,
door
so he couldn't
from
go far.
the inside.
But I like to think
As
he
weeks
chased that guy
passed,
off for
the
good.
phenomena
Because
escalated.
after that night,
Lights
I
flickered,
never saw him again.
cold spots formed, and whispers filled the air, calling out their names, even that of their unborn child, a secret yet to be shared. Desperation led
This
Ethan
happened
to
in
the
March
library,
of
where he
2022,
uncovered the
during
home's
spring
tragic
break.
history.
I was in
Built
my
over
second
a
year
coal
of
mine
college.
shaft, the site was the
My
final
friends
resting
and I,
place
6
for
of us
trapped
total,
miners.
decided to
Their
rent a
cries for
cabin
help
out in South
lost
Carolina
to
for a
time.
few days,
The
just to get
basement
away
was
from
not
everything.
merely a storage area.
No
It was a
school, no
thin
stress,
veil to
no
a past
friends.
rich in
It was
sorrow
supposed
and
to be one of
anguish,
those quiet
frightened
trips where
and
you
feeling
drink
the
too
weight
much,
of the
play
spirits that
music
lingered.
too loud, and
He and
maybe
his
make some
family
memories
sold
you'll
the
laugh
house.
about later.
A final night
There were
ending
4
in
of us
terror
guys,
when the basement
me,
door
Matt,
slammed shut,
Chris, and
trapping
Tyler,
him within
and
the
2
breathing
girls,
walls.
Jess and Sarah.
Icy fingers
We'd all been
brushed his
close
neck
since
as he
freshman
escaped
year.
through a window,
The cabin
leaving
we picked
behind a
was
haunting
stupid cheap
reminder
for
of
its
the
size.
horrors that lurked
2
beneath.
stories, a
Next,
wraparound porch,
Leela from
2
Toronto
bathrooms,
shared her
and listed as being on
one
private
steeped
land
in the
near a
solitude
lake.
of the pandemic.
It was way
in
out
her
there,
century-old
no towns for
townhouse,
miles, surrounded
she
by
uncovered
forest.
a hidden door in her
The guy
basement.
who owned it had a
its
thick
rusty
accent
padlock
and seemed
yielding
kind of
to
off
bolt
when we
cutters.
talked to him on the phone.
The tiny room
All he
revealed
said was,
chains
"Just
bolted
don't
to
go
the
wandering
walls,
too deep into
a
the
stale
woods.
air thick
Some
with
old
the
stuff
weight of
back
forgotten
there.
history.
Wells, busted
Faded
fences,
children's drawings
snakes.
scattered across
Don't want
the
to get
dirt
turned
floor
around.
told stories of despair.
We laughed about it.
Each
Thought
stick
he was just
figure
trying to add some
surrounded by
spooky
dark
southern
scribbles.
charm to the trip.
Strange
But when we got
occurrences
there,
began
it
that
wasn't
night.
funny.
A child's
drive
sobbing
took
echoing
forever.
through the house, growing
GPS
louder
gave out
each
an hour
evening
before we
until it
arrived.
engulfed her in
The
fear.
last part of the
Her
road was
dog,
just dirt and
usually
gravel,
fearless,
barely wide enough
refused
for
to
one
descend
car.
the stairs,
Trees got
growling
thicker
at
the
the
closer
hidden
we
door.
got.
After a
When we
sleepless
finally
night,
saw the cabin,
she found the door
we all
ajar,
kinda went quiet.
her earlier lock
It
undone,
didn't look like the
with the
pictures.
drawings now
It was
rearranged,
older and
as if
dirtier.
disturbed by a ghostly
The windows
hand.
were dusty.
A local
and a few of the
historian
shutters were
revealed the
hanging
house's
off by the
connection
hinges.
to the Underground Railroad,
There was this faint smell
shrouded
outside,
in darker
like
tales
old
of
garbage
cruelty
and wet
and despair. The
We
final
brushed it
straw
off and
came
made jokes.
when Leela awoke
said it
to
just
find
added
muddy,
character.
child-sized footprints
We
leading
unloaded,
to her
claimed
bedroom.
rooms, and started drinking
She
by
sealed
7
the
p.m.
room with concrete,
The first night
but
was
sometimes,
fun.
in
We grilled
quiet
outside,
moments, she
cranked
still
music
hears
from
the
a
faint
Bluetooth
sobs
speaker,
from her
and
past.
played some card games.
A spirit seeking
By
justice,
11, it got
or
cold,
a house
so we
revealing
moved
its hidden
inside.
secrets.
That's when I
In
noticed
rural
how dark
Kentucky,
the woods were.
Mark and Jenna
I don't mean
stumbled
just
upon a
nighttime
hidden
dark.
stone
I mean
altar
complete
while renovating
blackness.
a farmhouse
The
basement.
porch lights barely lit up
Initially
more than a
dismissing
few
it
feet.
as a joke by the
trees were
foreman,
so dense, it felt like they
they
were
soon
pressing in
found
from all
themselves
sides.
besieged by
No
strange
bugs,
occurrences.
No wind, just total
TVs
heavy
flickering
silence.
with eerie faces
We
and a
ended up
sensation
crashing
of
around
being
2 a.m.
watched.
I
One
had
evening,
one of the rooms on the ground
during
floor,
a movie
right
marathon,
next to the
a
kitchen.
low growl emanated
Small
from the
and just a
corners,
bed and a window
culminating in
facing
a
the
chilling
woods.
moment when a shadowy
At around
figure took
4:15,
form before
I
their
woke up.
eyes.
No
Fleeing
reason,
in terror,
just
They
wide
enlisted a
awake like someone had
paranormal
poked me.
investigator who
I laid
uncovered
there
the
for a
farm's
second,
dark
heart beating
past,
fast.
built atop Native
Then
American
I heard
burial
it.
grounds, disturbed
Tap.
by settlers'
Tap.
rituals.
Tap.
The entity grew aggressive,
I thought it was the
and
heater
in a
at
desperate
first,
attempt
but
to
then it
reclaim
repeated.
their home,
Steady,
they destroyed the
non-metallic,
altar remnants.
non-mechanical.
Though the haunting ceased,
Sounded like
Jenna caught one
fingers.
last glimpse of the shadow figure
looked at the
dissolving
window,
into nothingness,
and there was a
leaving
man
behind
standing
questions
there.
unanswered.
He was pressed up
Carlos,
against the glass,
a resident of a
face
Miami
almost touching
high-rise,
it.
faced
Pale
darkness
skin,
of a different kind.
wild hair,
The shared
no
laundry
shirt,
room was a
just
haven for
staring
strange
in.
occurrences.
His
But
mouth
one
hung
stormy
slightly
night,
open, like
when
he
the
was
elevator
breathing
failed
through
him,
it.
he took the
His
stairs
eyes
down.
were wide.
In the
He
dimly
didn't
lit
blink.
basement, a
He
slithering
didn't move.
blackness
He just
emerged
stood
from the
there and
shadows,
tapped, soft and
creeping toward
slow,
him with
like
cold
he was
intent.
trying to tease me.
Adrenaline surged
I
as
felt
he
like my
pounded on
body
the
locked
door,
up.
desperate for
Then the
escape,
tapping got a
only
little
to feel the
faster.
shadow brush
I
against
whispered
his
for
ankle,
Matt, who was sleeping
leaving
on the
a
couch
burn
outside
mark
my
as a
room.
reminder of the
I
sinister
said
presence.
his name again,
He
louder.
moved out, haunted by the
He woke up
whispers of
groggy
others
and asked
who had
what I
vanished in
wanted.
the basement.
I just
The
pointed.
building built
He
hastily
looked over
a
saw the
forgotten
man,
cemetery.
and immediately jumped
Was the
up,
crawling
knocking over the
darkness a
coffee
manifestation of unsettled
That
souls,
must have scared the guy
or a
off,
mere
because by the
figment
time
of his
Matt turned the porch
imagination?
light on and ran
Finally,
outside,
an
he was
anonymous
gone.
woman named Emily from
We all
London
got up.
unearthed buried
girls were
secrets in her
terrified.
Victorian home.
Tyler tried to
A
convince
tin
everyone
box
it was just
containing
some drunk
letters from
local
a
messing
soldier's
with
wife
us.
led to
Chris
restless
said maybe it
dreams
was a
of a
hunter who
woman
got
weeping
lost,
in the basement.
but I knew it was that
One
guy
night,
watching
the air
me.
grew
He
frigid as
wasn't
she
lost.
discovered skeletal remains
Blocked the
hidden
doors,
beneath the
moved
floor.
the couch in front of the big living
The
room
letters
window,
revealing
and
the
took
horror
turns
of
staying
a
awake for
murder
a few
long
hours.
concealed.
Nothing else
The
happened that
spirit,
night.
once a guardian,
The next
now
morning,
manifested
we went
in the
outside.
form of a menacing
There
figure,
were footprints,
choking the
bare
life from
human
rooms.
footprints circling the entire
After a
cabin.
cleansing ceremony,
They stopped at every
peace
window,
returned.
every
Yet
single one,
Emily left,
even the little
forever
one above
marked
the
by the
upstairs
secrets
shower.
unearthed. A
That should have
tale
been
of
it. We should
domestic
have
horror,
left,
of
but we
lives
didn't.
intertwined
We were
beyond
dumb
the
and
grave.
stubborn, and we stayed.
And so, as the tales concluded,
Night two started
the
the same.
narrator reminded
Drinks,
listeners
music,
that some
fire
depths
pit,
are better
but
left
the energy was
unexplored.
different.
Each
Everyone kept
story
glancing at
resonated
the
with the
woods.
audience, leaving
Jess
behind
didn't
a
drink,
lingering
and Chris
sense
kept
of
his hunting
unease,
knife on his belt.
a reminder that the
When we
next
finally
creak
went
in the
inside,
night could
we
hold
locked
more
every
than just
window
settling
and double-checked
foundations.
the doors.
Stay vigilant,
Around
for the shadows
3:30
may
a.m.,
yet have more
Matt
to
went to
reveal.
the kitchen for water. He stopped in the hallway and called my name.
Spine-tingling tales.
I got up.
The air
and
was
saw him
thick with
stand
anticipation,
there, pointing.
a heady mix of
There was
fear
someone
and
in the kitchen,
curiosity
the
that
man
enveloped
from
the
before.
room.
But this time
Welcome,
he was
brave
inside,
souls, the narrator's
naked,
voice echoed,
his
sending
back was to
shivers
us,
down
covered in
spines.
long,
Each
raw
tale
looking
that followed
scratches.
would validate the
He
deepest
was
fears
standing in
buried
front of
within,
the fridge, staring
especially
at it like
for
he
those
didn't
who
know what it
hesitated
was.
before descending
this
rickety
slow,
stairs
swaying
into the
motion,
damp
like he was
darkness
rocking
of
on
the
his feet.
basement. These
Matt
5
didn't
real
speak.
accounts
He just backed
uncovered
up.
horrors lurking
We all
beneath the
gathered
surface
silently at the
were
hallway
more than mere
entrance.
stories. They
I
were
had a
warnings
pocket
from
knife.
those who dared
Sarah
to
had the fire
explore the
poker.
unknown.
Chris grabbed
The
one of the
first
chair
whisper
legs
came
he'd
from
snapped
Ethan,
earlier, trying to
a
be
man
funny.
whose life was
We
forever
turned on the
changed
light.
by the
The
very
man was
walls
gone.
that surrounded him.
The back door
In
was wide
2019,
open, but it
he
wasn't
and his
broken.
wife fell for a
It wasn't
charming
forced.
1940s bungalow,
It was just open.
a dream home with one dark
left 20
secret,
minutes later.
the basement.
No one argued.
The realtor's words
packed only
glossed
the
over
basics,
its unfinished
wallets, keys,
state,
phones,
but Ethan
and drove
felt
through the
a
woods
heavy
until we had
unease,
enough signal
as
to
if
call
the
the
air
sheriff.
down there was
When we
alive,
met the deputy at a
pulsing
diner off
with
the
a
highway,
faint,
he
rhythmic
didn't look
breathing
surprised at
that
all.
echoed his own.
He asked if anyone was hurt,
Initially,
then said,
they settled
yeah,
in,
we've had some
the
trouble with
basement
folks
converting
squatting up in
into
those
a
woods.
home gym.
Not always
But
right
one
in the
dreadful
head.
evening,
We
while
tried to
lifting
explain
weights,
it wasn't just some
Ethan
homeless
heard
guy.
it.
This
A
man
soft
watched
inhale
us,
and
came back
exhale,
2 nights in a row
almost
and had a key
synchronized
or
with his
somehow
own.
got inside.
He froze,
The deputy
his
just
heart
nodded
racing,
like he'd heard it before.
convinced it was an echo.
When we
until
mentioned
he
the owner,
pressed his ear
face almost
against the
implied
cold
that he
brick.
knew the guy.
The sound
The listing disappeared a few days later,
wet and
completely
labored,
wiped from
as if
every
someone
rental
was
site.
struggling to
We
breathe
never got
just
answers,
beyond the wall.
never got a call.
In a desperate
We never
attempt
even
to
got our
uncover the
deposit back.
truth, he knocked.
That face,
The response
way he looked
was
at me through the
immediate.
window.
3
I still
deliberate
see it
knocks,
sometimes when I wake
mocking
up at
him from
night.
the depths.
We don't talk
That
about about that
night,
trip much
while they
anymore.
tried to sleep,
As far as
scratching
I know,
noises
none of
echoed
us have
from
been back
below,
to South Carolina
like nails
since.
dragging across concrete. They attributed it to rats, but the next morning,